In the village of Vrindavan, there was a small boy named Krishna, and he had beautiful blue skin, and he had small toes and ankles, and around his ankles he had little ankle bells. And when he would walk, there would be a little sound, and his mother would always know where to find him. And he wore beautiful yellow golden dhoti, and he wore jewels and pearls around his neck, and he had little fish-shaped earrings which hung from his ears, and as he would walk they would kiss his cheeks. In his hair he has a little peacock feather, and his hair is done up in a nice little bun. And one morning Krishna was asleep in his bed, and his mother had been wondering why Krishna had been stealing all of the butter from all of the other gopis' house. And so she thought, today I will milk the cows myself. And so she went to do that. And she thought, I will also make the butter myself, making it into yogurt and then cooking it on the pots. And as she milked the cows, she would sing, Govinda Damodar Lila, Govinda Damodar Lila, Govinda Damodar Lila, Govinda Damodar Lila. And then she would take that pot and she would turn it into yogurt. And once it was yogurt, she would have to churn it into butter. And when she would sing, her bangles would make a small noise. And that noise is like the sound of the kartals when we play and do kirtan. And when she's turning the pot, it's like also the sound of the mridanga. And as she would sing, tears would roll down her eyes, thinking of her sweet Krishna, her own son, her little Lala. And she would sing, Govinda Damodar Lila, Govinda Damodar Lila, Govinda Damodar Lila, Govinda Damodar Lila. And so Krishna was asleep, and usually his mother wakes him up and she's there to feed him, but today he woke up and she wasn't there. And so he rubbed his eyes, and the kajal, the little black eyeliner that was on his eyes, he began to cry, and it rolled down like white like the Yamuna River and black like the Ganga River. Sorry, black like the Yamuna River and white like the Ganga River. As he cried, and he called out, Mama, Mama.
Mama.
And his mother could not hear him because she was singing so beautifully but quite loudly, and the sound of her bangles were making a noise. So Krishna thought, I will have to go and find my mother. And so she had also been boiling some milk on the fire, and he found his mother, and he went right into her arms after he pulled on the rope and he pulled on the butter pot, and she began to feed him some milk. And Krishna was quite happy, and he was satisfied. And this milk was on the fire, and the milk was thinking, oh, what is the use of my life if I cannot serve Krishna? And so the milk began to spill over and pour out of the pot, and it was all over the floor. And Mother Yashoda quickly thought, oh no, this milk must serve Krishna. And so she put Krishna down, because that milk could make so many kinds of different sweets, and her milk could not do that. And so she went to clean up this milk that had spilled, and Krishna was quite upset that he thought, I will punish my mother. And so he found a small rock, and first he tried to pick up the clay pot which was full of yogurt, and then he realized he couldn't lift it up. So he took a small rock and he threw it at the clay pot, and the yogurt began to spill out of the bottom and all over the floor. And he clapped his hands and he was saying, yay! Oh, I've punished my mother. But he thought, oh no, now I will be in trouble. And so he ran and he made little footprints in the yogurt as he ran out. And and maybe his mother would be able to find him. He hid in the next room, and there he saw a pot of butter hanging up. And he thought, ooh, how delicious. I will also eat some of this butter. A monkey came along, and he was able to stand up on this grinding mortar, and he was able to reach this butter, and he began eating it. And it was very delicious and creamy, homemade. And the butter was smearing on his face, and he was even feeding it to the monkey with his own hands. And in Vrindavan, no one feeds the monkeys, but Krishna is so merciful that he will feed the monkeys even with his own hand. And so he remembered that this monkey had helped him in the time when he was Lord Ram, and so he was repaying this monkey for helping him. And Mother Yashoda, she realized that there was some spilt yogurt on the floor, so she followed the little footprints which were leading into the other room, and she saw Krishna was eating butter. And she chased him around the room and chased him, and finally she caught him by the hand, and by then the monkey had run away. And Krishna, when he was caught, his mother asked him, Krishna, did you steal that butter? Did you break that pot? And Krishna said, it was the Supreme Lord himself. And she said, but who broke the pot? And who ate the butter? And he said to his mother, Mother, every day a monkey has come, and he is sticking his hand inside the butter pot, and he is taking the butter and he is eating it. And on his way out, he takes the butter from his hand and he smears it on my face, and that is why there's butter on my face. And she was trying to believe him, but he then looked at her and he sang, Suno, Maya More Nahi Makanakayo, Maya More Nahi Makanakayo.
बोर भयो गयन के पाछे तूने मधुवन मोहे पतायो चार प्रहर बंसी बत बत क्यों सांझ परे में गल आयो
Maya More
मैं कब माकन खायो
And Krishna was very good at coming up with all the different excuses as to how and why he could not steal the butter. We'll talk about that later. And so she said, well, since this grinding mortar has helped you, I will punish you and I will tie you both together. And so she took the ribbon from her hair and she began to bind Krishna to the grinding mortar. But every time she tried, it was 2 fingers too short and she could not tie it around. And so all the servants came and they brought many different kinds of rope. And then from morning until noon, she tried and she tried to bind Krishna. But it was always 2 fingers too short. The first finger is for our endeavor and how we try to serve Krishna. And the second finger is Krishna's mercy. So finally he gave in and he let his mother tie him. And all the flowers from her hair had fallen out and she was sweating so much and she was very, very tired. But he saw with her love that she was able to finally bind him. And so she let him stay there and she went off to finish her chores. Krishna's brother and his other friends, they came and they saw that Krishna had been tied up. And his brother Balaram asked, who has tied you? And he said, well, mother has tied me. I have stolen some butter. And his brother Balaram tried to untie this knot, but it was tied by his mother and could not be untied by anyone else except one of his parents. And so they thought that they would try and go out the courtyard gate. And so Krishna and his friends, they went out, and Krishna saw that there was an opening between 2 trees. And so he thought he would crawl, and as he crawled, the grinding mortar was behind him, and it pulled down these 2 trees, and there was a loud crash in Vrindavan, and everyone heard. And so, inside those trees, there were 2 demigods, and their names were,
Nalakubera and Manigriva.
and they had been punished from Narada Muni, and they were in these 2, they had taken the form of 2 trees, and they saw Krishna, and they were now liberated. And so they went around and they paid their obeisances, and they were singing prayers around Krishna. And his friends thought, how strange, they are worshiping our friend Gopal, Krishna, who steals butter. And so the demigods, they went on to their next destination. They were finally freed from their sins. And Krishna, who was still tied up, everyone had come, and his father, Nanda Baba, came and said, Krishna, who has tied you up? And he said, Mother has tied me up. And immediately he said, oh, I did not know she could be so cruel. And he untied this knot, which could only be undone by one of his parents. And so they went back to where Nanda Baba was, and Krishna was there all day. And towards the evening, Rohini was there, and she asked Krishna, where will you stay? And he said, I don't want to go home. I will stay with Baba. And she asked, what will you eat? And he said, I will eat ladus. And so Rohini said, and what will you do if your mother... And Krishna was quite frightened by the thought of maybe his mother not being there. And so he ran quickly all the way home into his mother's arms. And they were united again, and there were tears running down both of their cheeks, but they were so happy to be together again. And so every Kartik, we remember these pastimes of how Krishna's mother's love is so strong that only she can bind him with her love. Govinda Damodar